Okay, so we're going to be looking at organizing stuff. So the document that I have open here is called Durban Brochure, and it'll be found in the Organizing Objects zip file, which you can download from the link in the description. And what I have here is an 8-page layout. I'll just flip through it. But there's some stuff that needs organizing. So I've deliberately messed a few things up. And also, if you have a look at my layers, it's a mess. Basically, I have one layer and just a whole lot of stuff in those layers. And so I need to organize stuff properly. I have deliberately converted all text to outlines just for convenience, so there's no font issues here. Don't worry about that. We're really focusing on organizing here. So the first thing is layers. So you can be as granular as you want to with layers. Organize your objects in layers that work for you and help you to be more productive, and also would make sense for someone else if they sat down at your project. Excuse me. So what I normally do is I start off with a background layer. So I'm going to make a new layer here, and I'm just going to double click and say background. And then I'll have a images and graphics layer, images and graphics. And then I'll have a text layer. And I always put the text layer at the top because for print readiness, you're going to save yourself some hassles if your text is always on top of your graphics. You're not then going to have problems with text being rasterized during the print process and becoming very pixelated. So that's the minimum that I would go for as a background, images and graphics, and text. You can be more detailed than that. You can split your images and graphics into subcategories and so on. But that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to take this background image here, and I'm going to select it with my selection tool, not on the content grabber, but on the frame. And you'll see that in my layers panel, I'll get a little red highlight telling me that the object that is selected is in this layer, and I can go down and see, yes, there it is there. So to move this object to the background layer, I simply drag that little colored block up and drop it. That is now in the background layer, and if I hide that background layer, I can see that, yes, indeed, that's where it is. So I'm going to hide it temporarily so that I can select other stuff. So there's all this text here, so there's that. I'm holding down Shift, the strapline, the story titles, and this Win a Fancy Picnic as well. That's all text. So I've selected it all, and then I'm going to drag the red box up to the text layer. So now if I show my background and text layer, I'm seeing that stuff. Now this, let me hide these here. This little semi-transparent block is really a graphic. So I'm going to put that into the images and graphics layer. So drag it up there. So now if I show everything here, I've got exactly what I want, but I've got it organized into layers. Right, so let's go down to this double page spread. So now obviously this is an image, but it could be a background as well. So it's up to you. I mean, I'm going to put it in anything that is a full page bleed to bleed image. I normally put in as a background. So I'm going to drag that up to the background layer. And then we've got some stuff here that we need to organize first before we start putting it in layers. So first of all, this little arrow here is pointing the wrong way. It should be pointing up. So I'm going to select it, and then over here I can rotate things 90 degrees or flip them. So I'm going to rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise there, so it's pointing in the right direction. And then I want to select some stuff to put together. So this is kind of like a little graphic kind of pattern, and then an image in the background. So I want those to stay together. So I'm going to take my selection tool, I'm going to drag across both of them, and then I can either go Object Group, or I can say Control or Command G to group those. So that's a graphic. So I'm going to put that up here into a graphic. And I'm also going to hide the graphic images and graphics layer so I can see what I've actually already dealt with. Here I've got another pattern and box, so I'm going to select those, group, Control or Command G, goes into the images and graphics. This obviously is an image, so that goes into images and graphics. This here is a pattern and a box, group those, Control or Command G, move that into images and graphics. This is an image, that goes into images and graphics. And then here, this background pattern here, group, Control or Command G, images and graphics. That means these two arrows are graphics, so select those two, move them into images and graphics, and then did those go? Let's just see, 1, 2, into images and graphics. Okay, and the rest is actually text here, so select, shift, select, and then our footer here all goes into text. And then we have, yeah, that's all good. So if I show all of my layers here and hide the layer 1, you can see everything is in here now. If I press W to preview, it's looking good, but everything's now organized and grouped properly. Bear in mind that if you group, let's say, something that's in the text layer with something that's in the graphics layer, they cannot be grouped and be in two separate layers. They will have to go into one of those groups or one of those layers. So grouped objects have to live in the same layer. So I would sometimes group the text, the arrow, and this background pattern, but that would mean that my text would then go into the images and graphics layer, which I don't want. All right, so that's organized. Let's go down to showing layer 1, this one here. So I have a few things to do here. These 3 images here are actually behind this screened rectangle. So to access them, if I press Control or Command and click, I can drill down underneath something else to grab something. But what I really want to do is just arrange this rectangle behind these items. So I can right click and choose Arrange, Send Backwards, or I can go Object, Arrange, Send Backwards, or I can use the shortcut, which is Control or Command left square bracket, and I'm just going to press that 3 times to put it behind those images. Now these images need to be aligned because they're all over the place here. So I'm going to select, I'll click away first, select this one, not on the content grabber, on the frame, and I'm going to position this one roughly where I want it to go. And I'm going to take this one and position it roughly where I want it to go. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and select all 3. And now I can use my Align tools. So I'm going to use this one here, Align Horizontal Centers. And then I'm going to distribute Vertical Centers. So they're now nicely aligned. Okay, so that one's done. Now these are all graphics. So I'm going to take that, and the background white object, put those in the images and graphics layer. I'll hide that layer so I can see I've done that. Over here we have the screen background. I need to send that behind the text. So Control or Command left square bracket. Okay, and these little squares are a bit of a mess here. So let's go down here and let's align these. So I'm going to select all 4 of them. And you'll see in my align options here, I'm going to choose this one, which is vertical align centers. But then to have an even space between them, I'm going to click here and choose align to key object. Make sure the yellow box is the key object, but if it has a highlight around it, it is. If you wanted to change your key object, you could click on something else. I'm clicking on the yellow, and then I'm going to set a distance. So I'm going to say use spacing, and I'm going to say 3 millimeters, and then I'm going to choose this option, which is distribute horizontal centers. Okay, that looks good. Let's try 2 millimeters and Okay, I think that looks even better. All right, so those can go together. I'm going to group them, Control or Command G, so they're one object for selection purposes. And then I need to organize things on this page. So this is text, and Shift, this is text, the page 4, the footer, there's another page number here, and that, and the Durban Spice. Let's move those up to the text layer and hide the text layer so we can see what's already gone in there. I missed that one. And this here, that's all text. This here is a graphic, so that goes to images and graphics. This is text. Okay, this is a graphic. Ooh, let me just undo that. Something happened there. This is a graphic, yes. This background image is a background, so that will go into background. I'll hide that. So that leaves me with this chili here, which is actually the wrong way round. So let me put it in the images layer first, and then let's just show our background images and text. And then I'm going to select that, and I want to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, and I want to flip it horizontally. And okay, I'm going to undo that. The mistake I made is I'm applying these transformations to the frame and not the image. So I'm going to select the content grabber, so I've just got the image, rotate it 90 degrees and flip it horizontally. That's what I want. Okay, and I think we're good to go here now. We've got our background, we've got our images and graphics, and we've got our text. Okay, and then let's move on to this layout here. This one is fairly straightforward. So this here is an image and graphic. This here is a background, and I'll hide that background and hide images and graphics so we can see what's happening here. We've got some text here that goes into the text layer. Let's hide that. What else have we got here? Okay, we've got some text up here. And then we've got the footer text, which needs to go up to text as well. Okay, so if I hide layer 1, there's my background, there's my images and graphics, there's my text. All right, and then finally, we have an image here, which is just a background image that goes into background. All right, so that leaves us with nothing inside the layers panel, except for these little, I've got some text here just to remind me of the things I need to do on each page. I can actually delete those. So let's go back and do that for each page. Okay, so now layer 1 can be deleted, it's got nothing in it. All right, so now that is a much better organized document. We've used align and distribute, we've transformed a few things, we've arranged things, we've grouped them, and we've arranged them into layers. So we have everything neatly organized, and this is how you should be working. You should always work on the understanding that if someone sits down at your computer and opens up one of your projects, they can find their way around without having to ask you for help.